The prince's palace. Ayagai turned to the girl that her father adopted the orphaned boy of one of his fallen knights. Yes, your highnesses, replied a girl with beautiful blue eyes. Next week her father is throwing a gala banquet where he will be formally introduced as an aristocrat, she said. If today's dessert didn't taste even a bite. Didn't taste it, asked the guy. She told him she didn't try it because it was almond cake. The guy asked again, so why don't you like almonds? It's not that she loves him or doesn't love him. She's allergic to almonds, even if she told him that. He wouldn't listen to her, she thought. The girl replied that she would eat that pie a little later, because behind that harmless face is a mad tyrant. 13 years ago. A palace, a reception hall, many guests all talking, and a little boy standing near his father said he wanted to marry her. After 5-year-old Sign pointed his finger at her. Her life had become a living hell. Get up quick! He wants to play horse racing, shoving the girl with his foot, said Sign, who is 6 years old, holding the chain the girl was attached to by the collar around her neck. Sign said it was his birthday present to her, and she needed to be obedient like a puppy. Sign, 8 years old. He was so loud, so Sign cut off his tongue. It was a bird. Sign, 14 years old. That crazy boy tormented her all the time. Present tense. Sign said it was getting late and she should come back. He will order the remaining desserts to be packed. Walking up to the girl, Sign said, very well, little bride. Yes, she is the bride of this crazy canary in captivity. She really wants to escape from him, and then she can live free. Modern world. A girl is usually an office worker who works from morning till evening. Walking down the street, she hears someone's voice. A child has fallen into the sea! Who can swim? Help, please! Turning around, she rushed to rescue. If it wasn't for her bravery, she wouldn't have died or been in the novel. Yes, that's right. The world she now lives in is a fantasy novel. The book is called Moon of the Empire. It's about 2 beautiful men. She was reborn in the body of Sane's fiancé, one of the main characters. At the age of 18, she was tragically killed by his ball. And the second main character in this novel is a boy who is about to be adopted by her father. Uriel Godwin, her brother, who is not related to her by blood. He is not her kin. Uriel's appearance and the warmth of his soul changed Sane. The prince's ceramic behavior changed completely to normal. She must make them fall in love as soon as possible, so that the prince will break her engagement. That is the only way she can survive this affair. Duke Howard's mansion. It's a big, beautiful wrestler. Aya! The girl was approached by her mom, but she was thinking and didn't hear her mom talking to her. She asked her mother again, why was she talking? My child, said Mama, why so absent-minded today? Duke Howard's mother, Madame Anne. Mom repeated to Aya once again that she will meet this boy soon. Remember Mom's words. Even if she doesn't like him and looks down on him, you have to act like a noble lady. Such low-born nobles cannot shake her noble will. You must make him grateful to us in the future. She understood, her mother said. Aya replied that she understood and would behave honorably. Today is the day she meets her younger brother, Uriel. His biological father, Lord Godwin, one of her father's knights, died in the east in a battle for the Empire's territories, defending the Duke. Uriel is his only son. To honor one of his finest knights, he has decided to adopt his son. At tonight's banquet, he will formally introduce him. A guy burst into Aya's room with the words, Sister! Noah, Aya turned to him. How many times did your etiquette teacher tell you to knock first? So he realized that next time he'd knock, only to have his sister not get mad at him. Duke's son, Noah Howard, age 12. Sister, he turned to Aya, father has brought that boy, Uriel. He offered to go with him and meet him. Well, and I thought she would finally meet him. Noah and Aya followed the meeting to get acquainted, but he didn't expect his sister to agree to join the fun too. He thought she wouldn't go, but she decided it would be better to greet him before the ball. In the novel, it was said that Uriel had golden hair like the sun, and his eyes were as sharp as a leopard's. He looks beautiful and awe-inspiring. He is one of the main characters, after all. She really wonders what he looks like. Room, came the butler's voice. Mr. Uriel, this is all your luggage. Uriel replied that he would take it from there. The protagonist of the novel, Uriel Goodwin, is 15 years old. Noah and Aya walked up to Uriel's room. A butler and a maid were standing outside. They greeted the young lady and the young master. The children replied that they were free and did not disturb them. Aya knocked on the door with the words, Sorry to disturb you. She entered the room. Noah, he exclaimed. Hey, he's here. Why do you bring all kinds of street cats and dogs into our mansion? He asked. I got really angry because Noah created a problem out of nothing. Her plan to be kind and caring had failed. Seeing Uriel, and I thought, the boy hero of the novel, her brother, who is not related to her by blood as described in the novel. He's thin, but tall. His gaze is as piercing as an adult's. True, this isn't the first time she's fought with Noah, but she has a pretty calm temper. The boy is good at hiding his emotions. He's really smart. No wonder Sign fell in love with him. But in her heart, she was sure she had another chance too. Turning to Noah, she said there was no need to be so rude and wagged her finger. Showing her hand, she said this was their first meeting and her name was Aya Howard. She said she was his older sister. Pointing at Noah, she greeted him like her little brother. She's just been pissed off by Noah. She hopes she can make a good first impression on Uriel to earn his love. Noah's brother. She needs to break off the engagement. The guy smiled and said he was Uriel Godwin. Lady and young master, it's a pleasure to meet you, she wondered. It was strange to her somehow, it seemed, that he didn't want anything to do with them. From the moment you entered the Duke's mansion, you are no longer Godin. You are Uriel Howard. She hopes that they can get along and live happily ever after. Even if he doesn't want to, she'll take all the initiative, she thought. Noah was indignant, saying, "Ha! He doesn't seem to particularly want to get along with us either." Noah continued that he was the son of a low-born knight and their father just took pity on him, so he wouldn't get his hopes up about being part of their family. Aya stood and blushed at her brother's words. Is that brat going to be quiet for a while? If Uriel hates her because of this too. To be fair, her little brother is only 12 years old. She tried once again to calm her little brother down, telling him that Uriel was his brother and shouldn't say such hurtful things. To him, you are wrong. Noah is her half-brother, not her own. His mother died when he was very young, so Aya spoiled him and turned a blind eye to his antics. In the novel, there was a villain who was used to promote Uriel's growth. He insulted and bullied Uriel, making him feel inferior and unhappy. With no one to help him, he could only rely on his tough character to firmly establish his status in the Duke's family. But things are different now than in the past. She needs to win Uriel's favor and break the engagement. So she wants to help him make sense of the Duke's family. Noah was offended and asked his sister why she was not protecting him. After all, he was her younger brother. The sister, threatening with her finger, said, Noah, Uriel is now his father's son. Don't let others think that no one respects the Duke's decision. You want to make father angry. Fine, Noah said. It's no longer fun here, and he's leaving. Good. When they were alone, Aya told Uriel not to take offense at his younger brother. He is young and naive. Uriel answered her that the young gentleman was right. His status here is very low thanks to the Duke. He didn't end up on the street. No, Uriel, Aya said. From this day forward, you too are the Duke's son. No one would dare offend him in the Duke's house. He must understand that, Aya said. And he should not be surprised. He may as well call me sister as Noah did. Uriel replied, Okay, big sister Aya. Laughing, she said, Yes, my little brother. Aya was very happy that the main character called her sister. It meant she was one step closer to success. He asked her why she was so kind to him. The Duke only adopted him because of death. They shouldn't act like that. But why is she so nice to him? Thought Uriel. And Aya answered him, that he's a fool because he's a younger brother and she has to take care of him. She won't be too intrusive, but when she needs to help him with everything, stroking his head, she raved because she touched the main character's hair. They're so silky. However, there are indeed people in the Duke's mansion who are trying to make life difficult for him, such as Noah. If he wants to stay here, he needs to get support, Aya said. Uriel said she meant herself as support, and I countered, no, she's not good enough for that, but she knows someone who can help him. Uriel asked, and who is that? Aya replied, Sign Chris, her fiancé. You mean the fourth prince? Asked Uriel. If he wants to become stronger, he needs to befriend the man his father and mother fear, and that man is Sign Chris. But he doesn't know the prince. How can he get his support? Worried Uriel. And she said, that he can settle down. Maybe meet him at the banquet tonight, although the first time the main characters met. Every time she thinks about it, she gets goosebumps of excitement. In the novel, Uriel rescues Sign, who was being tried to be killed. Sign thanks Uriel and escorts him to the Duke's mansion. Since our protagonist knows the plot, she wants to just go with the flow and fade into the background. Let them consider her as their first benefactor in this world, Onisane, who will appear later. Uriel asked her what he should do. Platinum Palace, Sign Palace, Sane's office. He sits and plays chess. There are two counselors near him. One asks, "Your Highness, when shall we act? Duke Mitchell will be attending the Howard family's holiday banquet. Do we want to make a move? We should do it before the banquet begins." "Ha, you're the fourth prince, but your brother, the crown prince, is using you as a subordinate, and that's bullying," one of the counselors said. Looking up, Sane said, "Remember, it's not him using me, it's me using him. The best outcome will be a successful assassination attempt. If it doesn't work, we'll just run away," Seath said, once again cautioning, "Keep a low profile." He said, "Your Highness, in case of failure, the crown prince will blame it on you." "Yeah, he has no doubt he will," Sine said. The second counselor objected. "Gosh, that's so unconscionable." The son said they shouldn't rush into things. Father and Duke Mitchell are not idiots. This case is not as simple as the crown prince thought. Yes, and he already has countermeasures in place. All the weapons you use have the emblem of his knightly order carved on them, Sin said. Since this is a homicide, the weapon should not be identifiable. He added, "A sword with the emblem of his order will be found at the scene. Everyone will suspect him," Sin said. "But only foolish people believe in this kind of thing. To purposely leave valuable evidence behind. Anyone who would believe such a blatant accusation is a fool," he added. Finally, the counselor has realized. People think that he is a pawn of the crown prince. Everyone will think someone is trying to set you up and get you to go against Duke Mitchell. This is so that others can sit back and reap the benefits, Sine explained. Or they might suspect that the crown prince did it himself, and put the blame on the fourth prince, he continued. In that case, people will think he's some loser who got set up, Sine concluded. As expected of His Highness Prince Sane, so our labors will not go to waste, he thought. Duke Howard's mansion evening. Before the banquet begins, they will switch rooms, Aya announced. We'll definitely come to her, so he should take the opportunity to introduce himself to her in person, she said. Leave the rest of your problems in your sister. She'll solve everything, Aya added. In the novel, Sine escapes to Aya's room after being wounded in a failed assassination attempt on Duke Mitchell. He is taken by Uriel, who happens to be passing by. It was through this that Uriel gained the sympathy of the prince. After that, Uriel's life improved. Good, Uriel said. He will obey his sister. The evening has begun, the ball is in full swing. Aya looks out the window. The guests are arriving one by one, but she doesn't see the one she wants. She decided to take a walk while the moon was so beautiful. Aya heard something rustling in the bushes. A feral cat, she thought. Peeking out from behind the bushes, she saw Sane sitting on the ground, leaning against a tree. Her first thought was, a rabbit wounded. She couldn't understand why this situation was so familiar to her. "Oh no, no!" she shouted. "Let it not be what I think it is!" And she began to walk away quickly. When she tried to run away, Sine said, "Where are you running away to?" Can't she see that her fiancé is hurt? He objected to her. Noticed it after all? Aya said, turning to him. She asked what was wrong with them, what had happened to him. Though yes, it's understandable. They probably couldn't kill Duke Mitchell. Why? She met him before Uriel did. Damn it, very angry, Aya said. Scene told her not to ask too many questions, but rather help him bandage his wound. Aya wanted to tell him that she was going to leave now, to go get bandages, but thought that if she ran away quickly now, the plot would get back on track. Just as she was about to leave, Sane took her hand. He told her she didn't need to go get bandages. A moment later, the voices of the guards were heard searching for someone and shouting, "Who saw someone run in there?" Sane said that if he was caught, she would be his accomplice. Aya was just stunned by what he said. How could she be an accomplice since she hadn't done anything? The guards spotted Aya in the bushes, approaching her. They asked, "Who's there?" because they didn't see her right away. Coming out into the torchlight, Aya asked, "What happened?" The rulers replied that assassins had broken into the Duke's mansion. They had been ordered to search the place, and she hadn't seen anyone suspicious. Aya said she didn't see anyone. She was just walking here alone and advised them to look elsewhere because there was no one here but her. The guard bowed and said, "Young lady, it's very dangerous outside right now, so return to the mansion quickly." She replied, "Okay," and expressed hope that they would do well in catching the killer. Scene said he didn't expect his little bride to be able to lie so wonderfully. Appreciating her before, she had grown too much over the years. Aya replied that perhaps she had indeed grown older. Oops, She shouldn't have gone for a walk in the garden, she thought. But that shouldn't affect Sign's escape. He still has to meet Uriel. One wrong move could lead to failure, she pondered. If I have a handkerchief, I can help him stop the bleeding, Aya said. The girl went over and bandaged his wound with a handkerchief, thus stopping the bleeding. Sein asked her. She probably already guessed why she met him here and what he had done. Now that she had seen actual murder, a ruthless protagonist would really go for it, and now count her as the prince's accomplice. Will she have to suffer for him forever? Aya thought. Sein wanted to take her hand, but Aya yanked it away. You're afraid of me now, Sein said. Childhood living in fear, I'm afraid? Yes, she's always in danger because of him, Aya thought. But anyway, she saved him and he shouldn't treat her badly now, Aya said. Surprised, Sein asked what he had done to her. Exactly, he hasn't done anything yet. It's over, Sein. He can't stand people who put conditions on him. In this fictional world, the most dangerous person is to do her best. So she came up with, Your Highness, she won't dare to behave like this anymore, so please let her go, Aya said. Promises she'll keep quiet. Not even that. She'll pretend she doesn't know anything and hasn't seen him here. With frightened eyes, the girl bowed into his lap. She was just walking around the garden all alone and admiring the moon. Your Highness, she has worked hard all these years to become a bride worthy of him. Give her another chance, Aya begged. Sein said, She doesn't think he's going to kill her, does she? According to him, it's more like his fiancée has become a maid. Well, it's okay as long as it's not life-threatening. She said she would obey or she would be finished. Sein walked over and kissed her forehead, telling her that he was very happy and it was her truth. The palace. The maid asks, Mistress, where did you go? She was so worried about you. The ducal family has been looking for you and are very concerned. Sir Uriel is here. She came into the room several times and he kept waiting for you, the maid Messa reported. Uriel waited for Sein in the room on her advice, but he didn't show up. The storyline is broken again, Aya thought. Uriel came into the room and immediately rushed over to her. He asked if she was okay. He was very worried about her and hugged her tightly, only so tight that she couldn't breathe. She's fine, she told him. She just decided to take a walk and happened to be where they were looking for the killer. Next time he asked not to go out alone, but to let him stay with her to protect her. Aya said it was her fault, and she will be more careful in the future as he, the main character, behaves much differently than Sein. He has a soft character, like a warm spring breeze. Sein is the opposite, he's just a rabid dog. Uriel said that since she was fine, he could go back to his room for her to rest. She told him to go to bed early too, because he needed to be ready for tomorrow. He asked her again, What's tomorrow? Further on in the story, the king tasks the third prince and heir to track down the real killer. The crown prince refuses to participate in the search and sends Sein here. The third prince, grandson of the duke, goes to have an audience with the elders. In the process, all the blame would fall on the fourth prince. That is, even if Uriel couldn't meet with Sein today. He's coming to investigate the case where they can get to know each other. Tough day for her brother's love. Needs work, Aya thought. It was the next morning. Sein's palace. Duke Howard said, I'm here to collect evidence. I think you already know the truth. The crown prince asked him to tell you that if your family does not want to be destroyed, you must follow the decree. His Highness the Crown Prince doesn't have to worry about it. We will always support him, even now and in the future, Duke Howard replied. That's it then, Seven Hertz said. You don't mind if I escort my bride, do you? He was fine with it, even glad that Aya would be happy to see him. His darling daughter, the future Duchess, in his hands, and please need to support the fourth prince to please the future king. In Aya's room, she walks from side to side. Uriel asks her if she's dizzy yet. It's so early and she's already on her feet. And why is she pacing from side to side? Something is bothering her. Of course it bothers him because this is the most important event in his life, she said. But because of the excitement of what she said, and corrected herself since her main task is to introduce him to the fourth prince. Will definitely help him become a royal knight. Uriel asked how she knew he wanted to be a royal knight. He hadn't said anything about it to anyone. Aya, because of all the commotion, accidentally let it slip because she forgot that she had to fix the situation somehow. She thought that since his father was a knight, he might want to follow in his footsteps and become a royal knight. She corrected herself. And I, having said that, to Uriel. Uriel really noted that she was so kind. No one but she was so willing to lift him up and help him. He didn't know what to do, but she accepted him. That's why he wants to repay her. Aya was glad that so far everything was going according to plan. A maid entered the room with the words, "Mistress and milord, the prince has left the duke's study." "Uriel," Aya said. "She will take you to the crown prince," holding out her hand to him. Aya ran, so I could barely keep up, and asked her to slow down. But she said that if we slowed down, the prince might leave, so we should hurry. Her thoughts were only that the heroes would finally see each other. She should encourage them to meet again. "To please the noble lady, give her flowers," said the counselor. "Do you want to give them to Princess Aya?" The counselors wondered what was going on with the prince. He has a very happy face. He even has a smile. Finally! And I managed to catch up with the prince with the words, "Your Highness." She thought he was walking towards them. It's a great stroke of luck. Sign saw the guy near Aya and asked who he was. His mood deteriorated dramatically. "Your Highness, it is good to meet you," Aya said. "This is her younger brother, Uriel. She wanted to introduce you to him just now." "Your Highness, the fourth prince, Uriel," he bowed. As expected of a member of the royal family, an unapproachable grandeur emanates from the body. Sane interjected Aya's question. "That's the boy her father installed." "He's only been at the mansion for 1 day, but he's already so close," Sane thought. He hadn't held her hand for so damn long. Aya asked, "Your Highness, the flowers you're holding?" Sane replied that the flowers he had accidentally picked in her garden. Aya looked at the flowers in surprise and asked, "There are flowers like that in the garden. Haven't you seen them?" "Obviously ugly," Sine said, "but I figured why not? And I thought, why then is he giving them to her? These flowers, if they're ugly." Aya just has no words for what's going on. "Uriel, this is all happening. The prince always treats his sister like this. How rude. How can such a fragile girl be bullied?" Sine said as he came to announce the killer had been caught. "That's so great," Aya said. "Looks like he's found a scapegoat." Had he really come to warn her? And expected from a crazy scheming novelist, he's worried about her, even though she only made him a promise yesterday. "It was your father who caught the assassin. His Majesty will reward him soon," Sine said. "This is to pay tribute to the Howard family. Why Seven has suddenly become so kind." "Your Highness!" Aya yanked Sane by his cloak. "But don't you want to stay a little longer?" she asked. She had to do anything to keep him from leaving. He didn't know Uriel well enough yet. A first meeting couldn't end like this. Sine asked why he would want to stay here, and Aya's first thought was to say that she didn't want him to leave. For the sake of the main characters, she has to take such a risk, but somehow met again. Triple date. There was a deep silence. "Protagonist, why don't you say something?" thought Aya. Coughing, Aya said, "Your Highness, Uriel is really a very good boy." Sane, he's fine. He didn't understand why this woman was praising other men when he was sitting next to her. Also, Uriel is very talented at swordsmanship. He'll be useful to you in the future, and you might even like him, Aya said. Sine got angry and shouted, "Aya Howard! Who do you think you are? Do you think you have enough quality to recommend people to him?" He thought she asked him to stay to socialize with him, but it turned out she was doing it all for her brother. "Uriel admonished your Highness because he frightened his sister. If he becomes a knight, he can protect her in the future," thought Uriel. Aya is no longer happy about this second dialogue between the characters. She thought it would be different, but this conversation is different from how she envisioned it. Sine got up from the table and said he was going back. Aya grabbed his hand and said, "Wait, Your Highness." She didn't mean it like that. She just wanted to introduce him to her brother. He's very cute. But Sine wrenched his hand away and said, "Leave him alone." Crazy since I fell for that guy's cute side, Aya thought. Sine wrenched his arm so hard that Aya fell. Uriel picked her up. And then Uriel couldn't stand it any longer and said, "Your Highness, and I am your fiancé. How can you treat her so harshly?" "It's his fault," Uriel said. "If it weren't for his precarious position, she wouldn't have to behave like this in front of the prince. He has to get stronger to protect Aya." Walking away, Sine said, "Good, Aya. He got to know her better today. He didn't expect this girl to be like this when she grew up. He should have locked her up in the palace so she wouldn't see anyone but him." In the aftermath, Aya tried to shout, "Listen to me, Your Highness, don't go!" Alas, she was just trying to bring him closer to her love interest. She was a little upset. And then Uriel said that even without the help of the fourth prince, he would be a strong knight who could protect her. Aya thought that it was definitely over now. She had completely broken the storyline. She got a very bad headache. The heavy thoughts came over her, and finally she just passed out. She was unconscious. She had a dream in which Aya was sitting on the floor and begging, "Your Highness, please let her go." She won't dare interfere with Uriel anymore, Sen thought. "How dare such a foul creature speak his name?" said Sen. Aya begged for forgiveness. "Uriel, please, when he was in a pitiful state, her family accepted him after all. He should save her." Uriel told Aya that no one told her she wasn't worthy of asking for forgiveness. He really likes her desperate face. "Uriel," Sen said, "kill her, okay?" For a moment Aya felt light and a sense of falling. When she woke up from her fright, she saw that she was in her room. She was relieved. She realized that she had been having a nightmare. Beside her, leaning her head on the bed, she saw Uriel. She indignantly asked Uriel, "Why are you sleeping here?" "Aya, she's finally awake," Uriel said. "She's been unconscious for 24 hours. I was really scared for her." Aya wondered what she had passed out. She didn't remember anything. But the day they met the prince, she lost the creature in front of him. He was very scared. And I started to remember it seems like it was because she was nervous that it happened. Uriel leaned toward her. "She was very scared of what you wanted to do." He merely touched his forehead to hers to realize her forehead was no longer hot and feverish. He wanted to check her forehead, and she'd already made up her mind that he wanted to kiss her. Mother and father entered the room, saying their little girl was finally awake, and of course her brother. Everyone immediately rushed over to her, asking how she was feeling, if she had any discomfort or pain. His father told Uriel to go get some rest, because he had been near Aya for 24 hours. Looked at Uriel and realized that he had stayed with her all day and all night. Wow, he's so cute. The younger brother said he was certainly very kind to his sister, but whether he was sincere was unknown. Aya has noticed that her brother's opinion seems strange to her. He thinks everyone around him is bad, even Uriel, who takes better care of her. It seemed like a terrible opinion to her. Father replied that the fourth prince was currently busy doing the king's errand. He simply didn't have time to take care of her. Aya said if her future husband doesn't love and care for her, she won't marry one. Her younger brother suggested just breaking off the engagement if she didn't like the fourth prince. It was the first time her brother had said something intelligent. Mom objected, explaining that children can't say such things. An engagement is a marriage arranged by the royal family after the queen's death. Now they can't even talk about breaking the engagement. Aya told her father that her engagement to the fourth prince is predestined as he follows the crown prince. She believes that only she can protect their family in the future. She must always stand by his side and realize that. Her mom leaned over to her daughter and told her that she shouldn't continue to build a good relationship with the fourth prince. In her heart, Aya just screamed that it was useless. She and Sen would never get married in the future. Her father said her grandfather's birthday was coming up. He never liked her brother, but his holdings and title must be inherited. He had heard that this banquet was being held to choose a future heir. She must take care of herself and help her brother when the time comes. Grandpa's birthday is an important chapter in the original novel, as far as she remembers. Uriel and Engels Howard, her older brother, will oppose each other for her grandfather's favor. Uriel defeated Engels in a single game of chess, which made him famous among the aristocrats and earned him the favor of his grandfather. This battle also allowed Sen, a chess-playing fanatic, to appreciate Uriel and bring him even closer to him. Aya said it right. There's another important point in the novel that she forgot, and Daddy must be sure she'll be well and ready for the banquet soon. She will witness a historic moment when the protagonist gets close after a game of chess, she thought. Afternoon dining room, Aya and Uriel are sitting in front of a chessboard. Aya says that Grandpa's birthday is coming up and they must get his favor. They are bound to beat the rest of the family at chess, she said. Uriel said he didn't know much about chess, but in the novel, he beat the crazy Sen. Uriel, you underestimate yourself. Let's play one game, Aya suggested. Losing to the man who defeated Sen is no shame at all, she thought. How so? Frightened and hurt, Aya said. He really doesn't know how to play. Ariel, did you give in to me on purpose? She asked. He had beaten even his grandfather in the novel, so Sen recognized his abilities, but he had lost to her. Uriel said his older sister is an excellent chess player, and he is ready to worship her incredible abilities. As expected of her. She's good at everything, Uriel thought to himself. Being her brother was probably the greatest honor of all. Aya jumped up from the couch and said that Uriel should definitely win the chess game at the next banquet. That was the only way to get Grandpa's support. After all, Sane will change because of him. Therefore, they will become best friends. However, it is impossible to improve his chess knowledge in 2 days. Aya said confidently that he could do anything. She hoped, because he was the hero of the novel, so to do it. She'll give him special training to coach him better for the competition. Old Duke's mansion, Grandpa's birthday. Everyone arrived at the castle. Uriel gave Aya a hand as she descended the steps from the carriage. Noah pressed his father about Uriel kidnapping his sister. "Don't talk nonsense," said the father. "The sister treats him like a servant. You are real brother and sister." "No," Mom said. "And me and Engels are real brother and sister." The father corrected his wife not to talk about the kids. They are all one family. Engels Howarth, 18. "Father, mother," Engels said. The mother approached her son and asked, "Child, why are you here? Aren't the knights busy?" Engels replied that they were, but the crown prince had personally contacted him and he was released. In order not to waste time, he went straight to his grandfather's house with the crown prince. Said he, glad he came, "Engels, the work in the royal order must be very hard, and he must be very tired." Engels answered him not to let his father worry, because he was fine. Asked his parents, "Where is his sister, Aya?" Mother replied that Aya is with the child his father brought. "Today is your grandfather's birthday, so don't get too close to that boy in front of strangers. He has low status." Engels walked up to his sister and said, "Aya." She turned around when she saw him and said, "Big brother, I salute you." Engels saw Uriel. To him, that he was the son of a knight and their father had been very kind to adopt him. He should be grateful to their family instead of hanging around Aya. Uriel replies to Engels, "This is the first time you've met me. Why are you so angry?" And Aya also stands up for Uriel, saying that he wasn't picking on her, but rather she likes having him around. Engels interjected, "Do you like it?" Engels is one of the characters she hates the most. Although he is very kind to her and constantly spoils her, he thinks too highly of himself. He treats people like useless garbage. He especially treats beautiful women that way. Engels replied to his sister that how could she argue with him? He was saying it for her own good. For her sake, he should respect her opinion and not point fingers at others, Aya said. Engels said, "Okay, let's end our misunderstanding. It's all his fault," asking not to be angry with him. Sine joined him in the conversation, walking over. He asked Aya Howard, "Do you have a cold? Why are you wearing such a warm cloak?" When everyone had had enough of talking and greeting each other, they made their way into the castle. "Duke, you have less than 10 moves left, you will lose," Sine said. "Your Highness, the outcome of the game is not yet clear," the Duke said. Everyone made their way into the room and greeted Grandpa, saying that here they were already. Aya saw Sane. She wondered why he was here too. Noah ran up and said, "Grandpa, happy birthday!" Engels said he had prepared a present for Grandpa, and he really hoped he would like it. "Good," replied Grandfather. "Got the wishes, so now we all go to the banquet hall and wait for him. I have important business to discuss with His Highness." Important business? It's just those 2 idiots wanting to finish a chess game, thought Aya. When everyone had gone, Grandpa said on his way out, "Wait." He was told that the banquet hall was full and Aya had a cold. Let her stay with him. Aya was very excited and thanked her grandfather for allowing her to stay with him. Uriel approached Aya to offer to stay with her, but she said it was okay. He should do well at the banquet, so let the preparation not go to waste. In the original story, this whole grandfather's birthday banquet was only used to glorify Uriel. It doesn't really matter if she's there or not. Her absence, she felt like it would only benefit him. If she didn't go there, Uriel would likely be bullied. She wouldn't be able to help him anyway. At least she had the maid keep an eye on where Uriel and Sane went. Shouldn't be a problem, Aya thought. "Don't worry, he won't let her efforts go to waste," Uriel said. "Then she'll look forward to his performance." "Duke, you've lost," said Sine. "Didn't you say I had about 10 moves?" said the Duke. "It's getting late. A birthday party can't go on without the birthday boy. What do you say, Duke?" Seven held out his hand to invite him to the banquet. The Duke coughed and said, "His Highness is right. He should go to the banquet." Rising from his chair, he said, "And I'll have a good rest. Your grandfather is leaving." "Well, then only Aya and the 4th prince will be left here." "You think he won't worry about your health?" Grandpa asked. "Then don't say Grandpa didn't leave you a chance." But Aya didn't need such a chance at all. "Your Highness, aren't you going to the banquet?" she asked Sane. After all, his true beloved is there. So he should see his talents soon, she thought. Sein asked why she didn't want to be alone with him. He thought it was because of this guy named Ariel. Her attitude toward him was getting colder and colder. No, of course not. She hasn't seen him in a few days, so she misses him a lot. Her miserable life is still in the hands of that madman, Sein thought. Leaning over to Aya, Sein asked, then why exactly was she bored? She missed his good looks, his deep... Oh, how embarrassing for her, Sein thought. Sein interrupted her, asking, is it true? That's her biggest truth, Aya said. Then look him in the eye and tell him who's more important to her, him or her foster brother, Sein suggested. Aya replied that of course he's important. She's forced to say so. It's the only way to save her life. Someone knocked on the door with the words, Mistress, are you here? It was the maid. It's meat, what good timing, thought Aya. Yes, she replied. What is it? Place, you are my goddess, Aya thought. And I helped out in this situation. Mass? She asked. And why doesn't the lady say come in? And shouts through the door. You were right, said the maid. Your brothers were bullying poor Uriel. He won't be able to take it much longer. Don't you want to help him? She asked. Oh no. Mass came at such a bad time, thought Aya. The maid continued to speak. She's the one who ordered to monitor the fourth prince's movements. He didn't return to the banquet hall, so she doesn't know where he went. He's here and she has no defense at all. Will she be able to save herself? Wondered Aya to herself. Son, she asked. So you've been spying on me, it turns out? Sein came closer and closer to Aya. You were wrong, Your Highness, Aya said. Please don't get so close. Our lips aren't about to touch. Sein grabbed her by the neck and said, doing like you really wanted to get out of here. And you sent a man to follow me. What did she want? He said, saying he hadn't done anything. Why doesn't she believe him? She's trying to protect herself from him. Screamed no. She trusts him with all her heart. It's hard to pretend, Sein said. No, Aya objected. How dare she? She can't steal from her brother the protagonist. It's a death sentence. She's still young. She doesn't want to die. Highness, she has asked the mass to keep an eye on him so that you can help us at any moment. It's because we can't let the understanding between them reach a critical point and her life hang in the balance again. Sein, I asked why. You heard my little brother was being bullied, didn't you? She thought that if the situation came to a standstill, he could help her. I mean, it's a trifling matter to him, isn't it? She asked. Why should he help this one? What's his name, and Uriel? As soon as she opens her mouth, she always says his name. It's annoying, Sein thought. Aya was glad his son remembered his name. This is excellent. Your Highness, you said that you and I are in the same boat. Uriel is very important to her as a younger brother. If you help him, he will be loyal to you in the future, Aya said. Believe me, he will help you a lot. She asks, Your Highness, how extraordinary. He certainly has hidden talents. She speaks the truth, believe her. She really didn't mean anything by it. She just thinks of him as someone to use. Since she's so obliging, she doesn't have to beg him for anything. It's just, then maybe go to them right now, or it'll be too late. Sein said okay, but she would owe him. Of course, that's bullshit, because he'll thank her later for today. Once the two protagonists make a connection in this empire, it won't be peaceful. What's that about, though? She's never had a peaceful time in this empire. Father, Mother, Aya, Noah were gathered in Father's study. Mother said that Uriel had made a big splash at the banquet today, grabbing everyone's attention. Mother, isn't that a good thing? Asked Aya. The Duke's house will appear in a new light. Mother shouted, Aya, when did you become so crazy? If Uriel proves himself better than your brother, Grandfather might be able to help him. He might even pass the title to him instead of your brother. Obviously, the older brother is not as good as Uriel. He missed the opportunity to prove himself to his grandfather by losing to Uriel in chess, said the younger brother Noah. None of the aristocrats could defeat him. It can be considered that Uriel is firmly established in the aristocratic circle because of his skills. Shut up! Shouted Mother. Mother, I'm fine. I just can't understand why the fourth prince helped Uriel too. Doesn't he know we're in the same boat? Said Engels. Aya stood back and was quietly silent because she was the one who asked the prince. But she can't tell them about it. Okay, stop arguing. That kid was just a little out of sorts, the father said. Aya, you should teach him some manners. Let him climb into his master's seat. Aya said, Yes, all right, father. But she won't train a hero to do that. What she can do, at least protect him. Aya, and there's nothing wrong with your older brother. He'll inherit your maternal grandfather's title at best, father said. You are different. The future of the Howard family will depend. She needs to take care of herself and stop fooling around with that boy. His presence will only hinder her, father said. In his eyes, Aya said, keeping her distance from him. But Engels has plans, much to her dismay. It's impossible. He's not about to watch the Howard family choose the wrong side in a civil war over the crown prince. Not to mention bullying Uriel. He doesn't want to die because of Sign. Engels stroked Aya's head and said, Father and mother, she's still young, so don't push her too hard. He only has one little sister and he wants to keep spoiling her. All this time Uriel stood outside the door and heard the whole conversation. He drew the wrong conclusions. He figured his sister was just like everyone else. A few days have passed. The maid pours tea for Aya. Madam, Sir Uriel didn't come to see you today. Did you have a fight? No, replies Aya. Of course they are doing well. A good relationship. Maybe it was his mom pushing it on him, though. She thinks he's the real problem, Aya thought. How can this be? Asked the maid to Sir Uriel. For such a friendly character, especially as he has been good to you. From the Howard family's point of view, he's just a high-class servant. But the one who gave him this title of high status among servants despises people like him. This view of the underclass is deeply ingrained, and already she can't change their minds. She doesn't want to be dragged into it. Let Uriel walk quietly for a while. She would visit him in a few days. Uriel must be strong. Uriel in his room drew his sword. Said father she really did leave him. A week later, Mrs. Aya is running down the hallway. A maid can't keep up with her, saying, Madam, please don't run or you'll fall. She would finally see with Uriel, running and imagining Aya, how she would hug him and tell him how poor he must have missed his little sister. As she approached his room, she asked the maid where, but she said he wasn't there. Cheese Uriel had gone to practice swordsmanship, and lately he had been leaving early and coming in late. She realized, probably to avoid running into her mom and Noah. That's what Uriel does. Going into his room, she told the maids that she would wait for him there. They could go. Compared to what was going on here on the first day, it was much cozier now. Aya looked around Uriel's room. She needs to remember to get the details from that banquet. How Sign and Uriel's relationship is going. Thanks to Sign, Uriel should now be grateful to him. The relationship between the main characters is finally starting to develop. Yay! Aya heard what sounded like someone in the room. When she turned around, she saw a cat that came up to her and started meowing. Taking the cat in her arms, Aya thought that this fat cat had broken something. And now he's also sucking up. How shameless. He'll give it to his master, who's a naughty cat. Let's see how he'll judge the cat. Looking around the room, Aya found that the cat had knocked over a painting. The kitty, who had jumped from Aya's arms, ran up to the painting and started rubbing against it. That's it, she realized now. She needs to lift the painting into place. She crouched down to pick up the painting. Picking it up off the floor, she noticed that there was a sword lying on the floor. At that moment, Uriel came into the room, saying, What are you doing here? Why did you come into my room and touch my things? Aya said it wasn't her. It was that fat cat turning around and pointing at him, but he was gone. Uriel said he hates it when strangers touch his stuff. And what about your parenting? How could you not warn him? After all, this is his room to spy on him. Happening. Aya could understand his attitude towards her. And that sword. Isn't it a story sword? What's it doing here? Aya thought. She walked in without warning, so she apologizes. But someone else knocked over the painting and the sword. She didn't touch anything. And how could you think me stupid? It's such a heavy painting for me to peel off the moss, Aya said. Not to mention the animals, Uriel. You don't know how to properly store that sword in the Duke's mansion. It is considered a curse, she said. They say that if you bring a dead person's item into the house instead of putting it in their grave, you can attract evil spirits. In the original novel, Uriel nearly suffered great loss because he brought his dead father's sword to the Duke's mansion. She would never allow someone with vicious intentions to frame him. Uriel said, Maybe she thinks I desecrated the Duke's mansion too. What? How could he think that? Aya said. She'd been worried about him all these days, trying her best to make sure Mom and the others didn't disturb him. What the hell could have gone wrong? Why had he changed his attitude toward her and become so aggressive? It's the only thing his father has left, and there's no way he's getting rid of it. He realized that he couldn't be a younger brother to a spoiled young lady like her. Family ties are severed with a bang. In the original novel, the supporting character, Aya, hated her adopted brother, so she kicked him out of the Duke's mansion. She sent people to dig up his father's grave and retrieve the long sword. She asked the Howard family's most trusted knight commander to give this sword to Uriel. The protagonist successfully fell into Aya's trap. At that time, the protagonist had already established a good relationship. Sign found out from the people who were supposed to protect Uriel. He immediately rushed to save him. Uriel realized that he was being set up, so he resorted to Samku dodge and was able to counterattack Aya. She certainly never sent to dig his father's grave. Who the hell had done that? What the hell, she thought. Apparently he's funny in her eyes, Uriel said. Great believed her sweet words, believed she really could be his big sister, longed for her when he didn't see her. She was just playing with his feelings, Uriel said. Yeah, what's he talking about? Aya asked, treating him like a little brother. Everything she did for him was for his own good. For his good, Uriel interjected. Left him alone in the ducal house for his good. When he came to her, she closed the door. Is he her brother or her pet? She teases him when she's happy, but when she's not having fun, she dumps him. He came to see her, but somehow she doesn't know about it. It must have been my mom who got in the way. Man, the plot is totally messed up. Uriel got it all wrong, so now he's turned on her. She won't be able to help him remove that sludge, and he might be kicked out of the duchy. Although Uriel is very well-mannered, but when he gets older, his temper will be as ruthless as Sign's. She walks over to him and takes his hand with the words, "Don't be angry, please." She needs to calm him down first, or he's emotionally unstable, wanting to listen. He may not believe her, but she really didn't know he came to see her. It must have been his mother who gave the order not to let him in. But Uriel can't believe her words. Even if he couldn't visit her, why didn't she come to him? Hypocrisy. Uriel should listen to her. She didn't come for his own good. The gossip going around the mansion right now isn't the best for him. Everyone thinks he's going to compete with his older brother for his grandfather's title and inheritance. He doesn't want to compete for it at all. What nonsense, said Uriel. He's right, but his dad and mom don't see it that way. They worry that if she spends time with him, he will be more successful. They think he's claiming something he doesn't deserve. They will always get in the way. If they spend time together every day, it will only make his current situation worse. He needs to realize that. Uriel began to see that Aya had not abandoned him. After all, that's what the Duke meant that day. And I'm not trying to hide from him. He really got it all wrong. Aya took Uriel's hand and said, "Let's make up and don't say such stupid things again. He's her little brother." He apologized because he misunderstood her and swore he wasn't going to defile the Duke's mansion in any way. He just wants to live comfortably in this house. It's enough for him to be near her. She knows he's not a bad man. At such a young age, he lost the only person close to him. He lacks love and care. But after Sign saved him, he will be grateful to him for the rest of his life. She will surely work for his love. Uriel said he bought the sword back. It looks like someone is trying to frame him. He has to find a place to hide that sword, and it certainly shouldn't be the Duke's mansion, Aya said. Taking his hand in hers, she felt his hands sweat. He's really afraid of being caught. If he could have hidden that sword, he wouldn't be here now. After his father died, his uncle and other relatives took all the inheritance. There's no place for him in that family anymore. I didn't want to mention losing it, so I apologized. I'd better think of a place to hide his father's sword. That sword must not be discovered. A maid came running into the room, saying, "Madam, things are very bad. Madam is ill." The priest the young master brought in said that a curse has taken up residence in our mansion. They are all heading this way. They have something to do. He'll be kicked out of here now, and he'll never see her again, Uriel said. Stroking his head, Aya said, "Don't worry. She won't let you get into trouble. She'll definitely think of something right now." Oh shit, what's going on? Why didn't Sign find out about this sooner and prevent such a plot twist? And why did she just find out about it too? This just made things worse, Aya thought. Sign walked into the room with the words, "Looks like I came at a bad time." When he entered the room, he saw Aya stroking Uriel's head. "Aya Howard, get your hand off him," Sane said.